Randy films his cat taking a midday snooze when something creepy moves overhead. I would say this is just a particle of dust, except the cat sees it too and bolts upstairs like it's one of the scariest moments it's ever had in all of its 9 lives. Something makes the cat open its eyes. It senses something is wrong. Then an apparent ghost orb floats by, and suddenly the cat no longer wants to be in the same room anymore. Skeptics, I'm sure, will be quick to point out that the cat could have been startled by the camera. That's a good point, except cats usually don't run in fear from their owner. This cat seems to have felt the presence of something, a feline sixth sense of sorts, and it doesn't stick around. Do shadows have a life of their own? Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit. Before ever unknown 54's friend captured this strange anomaly on a home security camera. The footage, taken on January 21st, 2022 at around 11 p.m. shows a strange shadow shift in the kitchen with no known source casting its movement. According to the Redditor, there is no window or skylight in the area. The light source you see on the video is from the kitchen light overhead. This is what the kitchen looks like in the daytime. The Redditor writes, "The way the shadow seems to float from above the countertop to the ground is just very strange to me." Some in the comments think a cabinet either fell open or shut, but the Redditor notes that, combined with other unexplained events in the home, this seems suspicious. She writes, "They've had various things happen over time. There's been orbs, stuff falling over walls, animals reacting to the noises or visuals, etc. Is this just part of the same paranormal trend? The evidence does seem to be mounting." A YouTuber named Nosy is poking around an old abandoned home that is in rough shape. The place is crumbling on all sides and covered in debris. Some sections look like they could collapse at any minute, so he doesn't go too far inside. It's the middle of the day though, with plenty of natural light, so Nosy creeps around the outskirts and even dares to check out a few rooms for a better look. He's having a look through one of the more secure looking rooms on the bottom floor when apparently something notices his presence and starts rushing his way. Nosy wisely retreats out to the nearest exit and cuts his adventuring short for the day. The upstairs was not safe for him to explore, so it's doubtful that someone would live up there, though still possible, I suppose. Either way, the footsteps were clearly human and not from an animal, and Nosy was clearly all by himself throughout this video. Therefore, the only other explanation I can come up with, besides a homeless person, is an actual ghost. Whatever it is, Nosy says that he will go back to the house and solve the mystery once and for all. So be sure to check on his channel to see if he ever does. I hope he stays safe and I wish him the best of luck. Dan Sedrin is a paranormal investigator who calls this next video one of the scariest places he's ever explored. Just thinking back on the place makes his eyes go wide with fear.
We decided to hit Blue Ghost Tunnel. It's one of the most haunted places in all of Southern Ontario, and it definitely lived up to the hype.
He and his 2 friends, Nicole and Jenna, appear calm and relaxed when he first starts exploring the Blue Ghost Tunnel in Ontario, Canada.
It was tough to get here. Had to go through the woods, but we're gonna keep exploring.
But halfway through exploring the tunnel, he claims to see some kind of paranormal activity.
No, look at the blue mist.
Nicole and Jenna are reluctant to go any further as some kind of mist wraps around Dan and moves ahead of him.
It's getting really foggy in here. Yeah. I just want to touch the beam. Okay, hold up.
He bravely takes a few steps forward and, knowing his friends are already scared, challenges them to turn off their flashlights for 10 seconds.
Turn off your lights. Just turn off your lights. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Scary voices seem to be whispering a message at them from the darkness, and they get out of the tunnel fast. It's scary enough to make one of them nearly lose their mind.
What did you guys hear? Cause
it was like a person, like an old person, like a growl, like not a growl, but like look at my hand.
Oh, you're shaking.
Yeah.
You're really shaking.
Let's go.
Okay, all right, let's go.
That kind of fear is impossible to fake, so while this may or may not be a real ghost, we can at least agree that they were genuinely afraid. Imagine being alone in your house when a toy starts speaking over and over again, like someone is rapidly pressing its button. That's exactly what happened one day to a YouTuber named Melinda Wolf Miller with her child's Mickey Mouse toy. She bravely took out her phone and started recording. The toy makes some low noises at first, but once she says something about it, it apparently becomes very aggressive and starts growling in response.
Something is in the toy box is possessed.
It almost sounds like the toy is saying somebody in between snarling. I don't think that the two toys on top of Mickey Mouse are heavy enough to activate the bottom, so I'm honestly not sure what's happening here. A YouTuber in Australia named Sir Makes-A-Lot is led by his excited child into the living room to check out a new toy he's been playing with.
Come on.
What he finds is this monster roach slowly pedaling away on freakishly long legs. The toy car is smaller than the bug itself. That's simply terrifying. And when you have a cockroach that's big enough to clog a vacuum cleaner, it's time to move. I mean, to a new continent. I don't think I could ever live in Australia with cockroaches that size roaming around. No offense, Australia. After all, we have towns here in Canada where polar bears wander around. Would you be able to sleep after seeing this? Posted to the Paranormal Evidence subreddit by cardiologist Wary306, this short clip was captured at 2:30 in the morning. The mysterious footage shows a semi-transparent figure walking from one wall of the room into what appears to be a bookcase, where it disappears. The figure looks obscure at first but grows in visibility before completing its vanishing act. The Redditor says that around 3 a.m. they often hear a conversation between a woman and a man in the bathroom. They've seen shadow people in the home, things being thrown across the room, lights have shut off, whispers in the ear. All in all, a heavy atmosphere. The activity is too much to bear. And here's yet more of it. Many in the comments believe it's a spirit manifesting. Do you believe that's the case? Lewis Clark and his friends want to check out this old abandoned train up close to see what's in it. All the train cars are mostly empty, but then they see something horrible in the caboose.
What is that? What? What the
Oh my god.
The sheets are covered in red splotches and appear to have something heavy underneath them, but Lewis Clark and his friends don't dare unwrap them. They run away from the scene as fast as possible instead, jumping over a second sheet in the process. What was under these sheets, if anything, is anyone's guess, though many have speculated that both incidents could have been covering an actual body. As far as I know, Lewis Clark and his friends have not returned to unwrap the sheets, and they probably never will. Something giant is swimming fast across Lake Okanagan, Canada, never breaking the surface for a clear look except for this part at 40 seconds when a fin flaps by. There's not a boat in front of it, so it's not getting towed. It's not a school of fish because I've never seen fish move in a perfectly straight line. It does appear to be one giant underwater creature. A doll with a creepy aura is chilling enough. So what happens when the doll actually moves? The G-Team Paranormal Investigators posted this video to YouTube in March of 2019 writing, After my recent video with Omar, I decided to take his haunted dolls home with me that night. I did not bring them inside my home. I left them in a shed out back. After watching back the video I did with Omar a few times, I decided to introduce his dolls to mine and turn the camera on. The video reveals an unsettling movement. As Patty, the host, is talking about the dolls, you can see one of the porcelain dolls' heads moves ever so slightly.
Because I don't want to keep her, but I'd like her to go to a good home. I mean, if there's somebody out there that's interested, I don't... Did that thing just move?
As if she's listening. Is she? If she is, does she like what she's hearing? She must not have gone full on Chucky when the camera stopped rolling, so we can assume so. A YouTuber named Tate Steinseek is investigating an old building in Oklahoma City that was once a psychiatric institute. He claims that around 4 a.m. he experiences paranormal activity and wants to document it. This time, a black container slides across the ground on its own. Watch this part and tell me if there's any way to fake this.
Alright, did you guys just see that?
I would say that it was a rope or something tied around the container, but it happens again much closer, and I don't know how this could be faked.
Did you guys see that? Okay.
He even shows it up close, and you can see nothing is attached to it at all, and nothing special is inside, so your guess is as good as mine. A video has gone viral all throughout Indonesia because it's so scary. According to the uploader, Ari Abdul Rohim, a jinn is about to gain possession over an innocent man. An unseen force pulls his foot and then sits him up. It might be acting, but if so, he's really good. He appears to go into a meditative trance to calm himself down. It appears to work, or maybe the jinn has already moved to new prey. I will admit that this is some of the best evidence I've seen that possessions can be transmitted just by being in the same room. I want to believe they're acting, but it's hard to fake that level of anguish and fear. So either this video is paranormal or a demonstration of how fear is contagious. While exploring the Fairy Plantation in Virginia, disturbing paranormal evidence was captured by Redditor WTCW Paranormal, who runs a YouTube channel of the same name. First, the team captured some audio evidence using a paranormal device.
Where are you from?
It sounds like there's evil present. Then, as they continue exploring, audible footsteps are heard. Later, when they're using dowsing rods to communicate with the spirits, something off-screen communicates louder. To me, the noises add credence to the first message the guys received. They are in the fiery depths below, and they may just be trapped there. Thomas Hayes has been hearing scary loud sounds lately. Strange scratching noises coming from inside of the wall, right next to where he sleeps at night. Anxiety mixes with fear as he dismantles the electric socket to investigate what's gone wrong behind the walls. And let me tell you, the source of the scary sounds is beyond creepy. He tries not to scream as he finds the wall is filled with an endless number of fried insects, roaches to be exact, and look, at 30 seconds he absent-mindedly flicks one off with his finger. That's not exactly the reaction I was expecting, and certainly not what I would have done, but I guess he was shocked at the time. Speaking of, I can't help but wonder how safe it is to prod around an electrical socket with a screwdriver in the first place. I know he probably turned the power off, but I feel like it could still hold a charge. Someone tell me in the comments. These paranormal investigators use a flashlight to communicate with their ghostly counterparts. Published by Mackie and Amanda in April of 2022, the pair explore the haunted Cosmopolitan Hotel in San Diego. The girls talk to the spirits in the hotel, requesting that they interact with this dangling string, and the spirits respond.
Just touch that string one time. Did you see that?
And if you're watching it, because I'm watching you hold the things completely still, I watched like how far it was going up against the line, you know? It definitely moved further.
It looked like someone touched a string about a foot up.
I don't understand, there's no wind.
Me either.
Later, while sitting in bed, they hear repeated noises. They check to see if someone is walking outside on the balcony, but no one's there.
Oh, God. Oh. You hear that? Is someone looking? No.
There's no one here, Amanda.
I haven't seen really anyone at this place.
I haven't either.
Then the water starts to drip in the bathroom, and it continues to sound like someone is in their room.
I think room 11 was the one that they... It sounds like someone's in here.
They ask the spirits to turn the flashlight off and then back on. After asking the spirits to repeat this act, the flashlight turns off and the REM pod in the bathroom goes off as well.
Can you turn the flashlight off? All the way, completely off.
The spirits continue communicating with the girls through the flashlight. They find out that they're speaking to a ghost named Isadora. She confirms it's her through the REM pod.
Okay, wait. Isadora, if that's you, okay, I was gonna say, can you go over to that REM pod we have in the bathroom?
That red light.
That red light that was just beeping. Can you make it start going off again? Can you make it start beeping?
We'll give you like 15 seconds. She's like, she said yes.
Oh my God.
The correspondence continues for a long while, with Isadora being very communicative. Mackie and Amanda return to talk to her later.
I feel like no one's here.
No one's here right now. Just give it a minute.
Isadora? What was that? What is that? Wait, what is that? What's shaking?
They check out early because they're understandably creeped out. It sounds like there's many unseen residents of this hotel, and they're not leaving anytime soon. YouTuber X Hortari is hanging out with some friends in a cul-de-sac when they encounter an angry woman who seemingly confronts them for no reason.
You don't know where I live.
It won't be hard to figure out. You're out all the time.
Why are you gonna? I try to apologize. Quit walking towards me. Quit walking towards me.
At the start of the video, he is apologizing for something and tells her to have a good day, but it isn't clear what he is apologizing for. Over the next 4 minutes, this woman angrily rambles at the boys, while the YouTuber tries to calm down the situation. Things get scary when the woman starts to drive off, but stops and begins reversing towards the boys in the street. In the end, nothing gets resolved between the groups and the lady eventually drives off. The question remains is why was this woman so upset, and we may never get the answer to that question. A YouTuber in Central Texas named Dylan Dickerson stopped feeling safe from home years ago when he first heard these strange sounds in the sky in December of 2018.
I hope you can hear that.
What's especially scary about this video is that at times, it sounds like a scary voice.
Now we're hearing them again.
At other times, it sounds like something else completely.
It just seems like they're always barking.
Almost like a battle of some sort just beyond our galaxy.
I still don't know what that is.
As this video taken 2.5 years later shows, the unexplained sounds in the sky have not gone away. If anything, they've become louder and more persistent, like it's evolving. I think these are real sky sounds caught on tape because the bird sounds up close and the sky noises are far away. Plus, 2 years is a long time to keep faking the same kind of video without much notice. So I believe in these scary sounds over Dylan's house. Do you? What has no arms, no legs, no face, no head, a rodent's tail, and is taking over the UK? I have no answer, and neither does modern science. This gross grub-like tube of meat moves like a caterpillar and even stops to investigate a hole to possibly poke through. Just thinking about one of these things living behind my walls is enough to make me want to check my entire house for them. And like I said, no one has been able to identify what they are, even though they've been spotted all around Britain. So if one of them comes crawling across your floor sometime soon, don't say I didn't warn you. Costa Rica is full of many beautiful sights. Under your pillow is not one of them.
Scorpion on my pillow.
Is it alive?
I'd say it's very much still alive. A gigantic stinger is curled high above at the ready. I don't know if he was sleeping under this terrifying creature all night, but I think he might have been. If so, he's really lucky he never fluffed the pillow. Seriously though, I really want to know what kind of scorpion this is, and how risky this event really was. A ghost hunting crew called the Singapore Paranormal Investigators go exploring the abandoned Bucket Brown Cemetery. Constructed in 1922, this is one of the largest burial grounds in the entire country. So if any place were to be haunted, it would be here. They light candles to attract spirits and soon read an energy spike on their paranormal equipment. They take a picture of the darkness ahead and think they've caught something paranormal in the shape of a glowing orb. I played this part in slow motion and discovered this strange orb is really a street sign reflecting the flash of the camera. I don't think they were purposefully faking this part and probably thought it was real paranormal evidence at the time because they were scared. The ghost meter swirls with another buildup of paranormal energy, and a solid black orb comes out of the equipment, or more likely an insect. Later that night, they think they see something fly over the candles in the area. I don't see anything here, but maybe you do. Their camera stops working shortly after they see it, so maybe there was a ghost after all. This kid is making a random video in a dark room for no real reason at all, when he makes the mistake of looking down for a brief second to cough. A hunched over humanoid creature, who may or may not just be one of his friends, takes this opportunity to hit the ground of all fours and scramble after him. Even if this was one of his friends, maybe something bad happened to them to cause this transformation to take place, in which case, there is nothing fake about this video. Perhaps the film night at the museum wasn't too far off. This statue, located in England's Manchester Museum, appears to come to life. The ancient Egyptian statue dates back to around 1800 BC and perhaps is cursed by an ancient Egyptian spell. According to the museum's curator, Campbell Price, one day he noticed the 10-inch statue had turned entirely around. As reported by Manchester Evening News, Price said, "I thought it was strange because it is in a case, and I'm the only one who has a key. When Price moved it back to its original position, he found it had moved again the very next day. He decided the next step was to set up a time-lapse video, but the video raised more questions than it answered, as the statue was caught red-handed rotating counterclockwise on its own by increments that wouldn't appear visible to the human eye. This occurs only during the daytime. The statue is still at night. While an Egyptian spell isn't off the table, one British physicist thinks the movement can be explained by something called differential friction. Brian Cox says this friction is caused by the footsteps of museum goers, whose vibration moves the statue during the day. Price, however, calls this into question, as the statue has been housed at the museum since the early 20th century, and it hasn't moved before. It also appears to be turning in a perfect circle and only up to 180 degrees, so that it's facing backward. Even more interesting, on the rear of the statue is an inscription requesting offerings of bread, oxen, and fowl. Perhaps this is the answer. The statue needs to be fed. When Alexandra went exploring an abandoned schoolhouse in Ukraine, she never expected to go viral.
Что за запах? О, смотри, вон какая штука лежит.
On the first floor is a discarded tracksuit outside of a hole in the floor that looks like it could serve as the final resting place for many.
А вот это было разве?
Нет, это не было открыто. Здесь все было закрыто. Здесь ровно пол.
Там какой-то проход дальше, что ли? Ого, он как долго тянется вообще, посмотри.
Да, я вижу.
Он прям уходит вообще.
They also find a green barrel that's full of an unknown chemical. They can't read the faded label, but maybe a subscriber in Russia will know more about this.
Да, вот бочонок. По идее, не знаю, что тут написано, невозможно прочитать сейчас.
It could be acid. I've heard of people dissolving the past away in barrels full of acid just like this one. Across from a green barrel are footprints, and across from the footprints are pictures of people.
Ладно, пойдем на второй этаж тогда.
Да, ребят.
Это ты?
Есть кто?
Alexandra pauses at the stairs.
Мы с миром пришли, господи. Не надо нас пугать. На приколе, что ли, блядь?
Может, пойдем? Пока.
I think this video is 100% real because Alexandra does this thing some people do when they're really scared, where they talk to themselves out loud to keep from completely breaking down.
Так быстро выходим отсюда, это просто великолепно, потому что я сейчас реально насру себе в штаны и все, на этом все закончится. А вот вон мой великолепный, прекрасный выход.
With that said, I'm not sure this video is paranormal. The noise could be someone staying here. A scary person who I'm sure you and I would want nothing to do with. A man who countless others likewise wish they had never seen. Captured at Hillview Manor in Newcastle, these paranormal explorers face their fears. Published by SCWC in October of 2019, the uploader calls this the scariest moment of their entire life. Although the video has no sound, the YouTuber says footsteps charged at them from down the hallway. The video shows their terrified reaction as they all look toward it. One of them even dives out of the way as the invisible spirit charges toward them. Noting that the footsteps ran between all of them, the uploader writes, "The walls and floor shook with every footstep this spirit took while running." While you don't see anything run past, this group's synced reaction seems more than genuine. What was in the Hill House with them? These men tried all means to rid their friend of a demonic possession. Published by Cacadores das Sombras, which translates to Shadow Hunters in April of 2021. The crew sets out on a mission to complete a satanic ritual. As the guys are driving down a dirt road in a rural area, they pass a guy walking on the side of the road. It turns out that it's their friend Lucas. They slow to a stop shortly after, and the driver has his door open. Bad idea. Lucas lunges into the car at him and attempts to grab him. He seems possessed. They tie him up and throw him into their back seat. When they arrive at their destination, they find a pentagram with candles lit at all the points. They place the man into the middle of the pentagram, and it seems he can't escape it. He is whipping around out of control but still lucid at times. They light one last candle on one of the pentagram's points. Lucas is later kneeling, growling, and bent forehead to the floor at the center of the pentagram.
Você vai sair dele ou não vai?
He appears in a fit of some sort. After a while, the man holding the camera loses his patience with the possessed man. It doesn't meet its mark. One of the crew calms the cameraman outside, and a ruckus is heard inside shortly after. They return to find Lucas lying sideways on the ground, still at the center of the pentagram.
Ô Marquinhos, sai daí, mano, sai daí.
Ele torceu, velho.
Quê?
Ele torceu assim a cabeça, gritou e caiu no chão, mano.
Ô Lucas.
Tem alguma coisa? Não fiz nada, mano.
What happened to him? Did the ritual work? Although he continued to remain still and silent at the end of the video, I hope he is free from his possession. A YouTuber named Terrapin Joe has handcrafted a collection of sailors that, when activated together, fills the house with a shrieking laughter that can drive you insane. Maybe this is just a part of the sound sample being used, but I think I can hear one of them screaming louder than the rest here at 36 seconds into the video. Not only that, but the eye of this one becomes totally black at 46 seconds before going back to normal, almost like it's giving you a wink. A YouTuber named Nellis is exploring a haunted mansion in Bosnia where many people lost their lives during a dark chapter of their nation's history. Active minds dot the surrounding woods, so they have to head straight inside. One of the first things they see is what they think are belts hanging from the ceiling that people could have looped around their neck, though I think they could have been hooks from hanging lamps.
And there's them belts again. Look up there, there's them belts. Do people hang themselves? There's definitely people here. I think they're sat around there.
We see them again up close for a couple of minutes later, and they aren't belts at all. But I still don't know what they were used for. But wait, forget about the ceiling. Look at what's hanging against the wall. Going back to the first clip I mentioned earlier, it seems it was there all along. A YouTuber named Jeff Saxton is playing with his Ouija board all alone one Friday night. He asks if any spirits are around him and immediately gets a positive response. He contemplates quitting but decides he owes it to his viewers to keep going. He's in the middle of asking some routine questions when all of a sudden this happens.
What the... Yo, guys.
Ow! Fuck! Ow!
His pointer slips away and something knocks over his camera. Jeff Saxton steadies the camera and refocuses it on 3 tiny claw marks, now adorning his right arm. It's hard to say if these are fresh marks or just old scratches from a cat or something like that, so give me your best guess as to whether this video is real or fake. Driving in the Himalayas can be beautiful, unless you're opposite an angry driver. Published by Extreme Out in July of 2016, this driver was descending the dangerous Rotang Pass from Manali to Leh when he crossed paths with a heavy truck moving in the opposite direction. The driver notes that everyone should be patient in such conditions because impatience can lead to lives lost. They didn't find patience in this truck driver though. The man writes that he dipped his lights on the narrow mountain road to indicate that the truck and car ahead should stop and let him pass if they had a wider road. The truck did not signal back, but the car indicated that there was space to cross and so he should move forward. After moving to the side, the car passes easily, but the truck is taking its time, which is understandable as you can see how bumpy the terrain is. However, it became clear that the truck driver apparently wasn't going to pass at all. After sitting for a moment, the uploader starts to reverse to give the truck a wider berth, and instead the truck drives right at him. He raises his hand for the truck driver to stop and then continues to back up on the dangerous road, which he notes is not easy. Again, instead of passing, the truck is directed at him. The game continues for a time until finally the truck passes. They stopped him to argue, wondering why he acted the way he did. Was it a threat out of spite, or did he really not have room to pass? From this angle, we will never know. When a Jin comes to play, it's generally gloves off. Published by Hassan Barbar in June of 2021. This scary video was filmed inside a not-so-abandoned building. The building alone is frightening, but when Hassan arrives at this room, it becomes more so. The Jin starts throwing things around, and when he enters, he gets pipes thrown at him. Things are being flung at all angles, so Hassan retreats into an adjacent room for safety, but the Jin won't let him hide out forever. It shoves something in the empty hole where a doorknob should be, and soon it bursts the door open.
Sure.
Hassan re-enters the haunted but now quiet room. As he continues around the building, the Jin gets angrier and angrier. This continues and doesn't let up. Eventually, he's had enough and goes to leave, but as he does, it appears he's pushed down the stairs by an invisible force. A lot of racket is heard afterward. It looks like a door was thrown down the stairs at him. Was this the Jin's doing? It looks like he's not playing at all. I think everyone should be staying far away from this place. Recently, I've come across some YouTube channels showcasing these images of what appears to be the Statue of Liberty, moving her hand slightly to the right. It took me a long time, but I finally found the original video and can verify beyond all reasonable doubt that this giant moving statue video is edited. It is from a 2006 upload called The Statue of Liability, made by a computer animator named RODC 2006, who says in the description that it was made using a program called Blender 3D. So if you should ever happen to see these images somewhere online in the future, now you know it never happened and who originally made it. Props to RODC 2006 for being so good at editing that he continues to fool people so many years later. Basements are built to house all the evils of the world. This basement is no exception. Published by YouTuber Mr. Vujade in February of 2012, this frightening basement monster will scare the living daylights out of you. The short clip sees our protagonist heading downstairs into a creepy dark basement. As he slowly searches the space, it appears empty, apart from a few piles of storage items, some bicycles, the usual suspects in a basement. But then suddenly he turns, which is when he is confronted by this. I'm never going down there again, the YouTuber writes. Who can blame him? I don't think I could ever work up the courage to explore that basement. There's not a lot of information available about this video, besides that it was broadcast live somewhere in Albania. Two radio personalities are having a spirited discussion when suddenly they are interrupted by something that neither of them can explain.
Pjesa më e madhe janë pushim dhe po e shijojnë dhe një ditë mrekullueshme që është për jashtë. Wow.
Ç'ishte?
Cześć again.
A newspaper flies up on its own in the middle of their conversation, and you don't have to speak the language to see the genuine surprise written all over the man's face as it happens. Still, I would really appreciate it if anyone who speaks Albanian could tell me what was being said, or tell me more about their show if you recognize them. I've watched this video many times, and I see no strings attached to the newspaper or anything like that. Obviously, it can't be magnets either. So if it's not magnets or string, then what could it possibly be besides a haunting? Powerful Pancake is the name of a YouTuber who decides to ring his neighbor's doorbell and then run away. He hides around the side of the house just in time, but his friend behind the trash can is not so lucky. Powerful Pancake doubles back to grab his camera and the chase is on. As you can see here, the neighbor comes charging down the driveway with the bat over his head, ready for who knows what. They barely make it to their car in time and speed off. I think this video is probably real because they seem to actually be full of adrenaline, and that is not easy to fake, but I'd like to get your opinion. Number 10. Two YouTubers see a suspicious red balloon tied around the grate of an old sewer tunnel and start to explore. It isn't long before their flashlight shines upon someone standing rigidly before them.
No freaking. No! Go, 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 go!
The sewer lurker chases them down the entire length of the tunnel at full speed, and they barely make it out alive. Listen to this part and tell me if you think the fear in their voices sounds real, because it does to me.
Oh, Franco! Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Get out.
I hit my head.
Who or what that was remains a mystery. There's been no update made since this video was uploaded. A YouTuber named Blamzuka is nervously waiting for an intense water park ride to begin. He knows something is wrong as soon as his friend deploys and he is still stuck in the tube. Soon it becomes apparent that getting out is not going to be easy, especially considering the door is sealed shut by a control panel that seems not to be working properly.
You okay in there?
If the ride starts with Blamzuka in this position, he could easily land wrong and cause some damage. He is forced to remain in the tube with his hands over his shoulders, almost like a casket, with cold water running down his back the whole time.
Keep your head back.
They eventually open the door and get him into the second tube. When this tube fails in the exact same way, they finally send him down the ride on a third tube. Judging from his scared reaction, I'm surprised he did not quit when the same thing happened a second time. A YouTuber named All-in-One Gaming is watching television when a flash of light catches his eye. He looks out his window only to see a shady person trying to gain entry to a nearby shed. All-in-One Gaming is stunned by the situation for a full minute before he remembers that he has motion sensor lights. He quickly activates them and sends the intruder running.
I turn on the light. Holy shit.
It is not clear if this person is simply looking to take property, or if they are one of his thousands of fans who somehow got his home address. If this was a stalker, then who knows what they would have done if they had gotten to him. History is bound to affect the aura of some places. Particularly history is chilling as Lemp Mansions. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Baked Potato, the Redditor writes, "This video was taken off my friend's old phone when she visited the Lemp Mansion years ago. Before we analyze the clip, you'll need to know a little background on Lemp Mansion. The historical house in St. Louis, Missouri, was the home of the Lemp family in the early 20th century. 3 of the Lemps would go on to take their own lives in the family home. The only surviving Lemp was Edwin, who lived until the age of 90. He did not live in the Lemp family home, however. He moved to his own estate later on. Needless to say, with all these horrific and sad occurrings in Lemp Mansion, some believe it's haunted by spirits. It's now a restaurant and inn that offers haunted and historical tours, and also hosts Halloween parties and dinner theater. Perhaps it was at one of these events that a Redditor's friend caught this frightening footage. As the friend wanders around the mansion in the short clip, you can see odd moving shapes throughout, but the scariest appears at the end. A dark figure lurks in the bright light of the window, materializing out of thin air. It then disappears when the camera pans back around again. According to the Redditor, his friend didn't see the figure at the time. Redditor Fluffy Socks writes, "If you slow it down and look frame by frame, you'll see he's sitting there looking out the window. Gives me a pretty weird feeling, TBH. Do you have that feeling too? I certainly do." This home surveillance footage has been circulating around the internet, but I'm trying to figure out if it's fake or did this woman have her home surveillance hacked? After all, there have been many cases of that happening over the last couple years. If that's the case, it's super scary to think this woman is being watched by an unknown person without her knowledge, and without any context. You would never know that scenario is a real possibility. What do you think? Is this real or fake? A YouTuber named Signs and Signals goes ghost hunting at an old abandoned church he used to attend years ago.
You know, it just seems kind of creepy. I had some spooky things going here when I was a little kid. I've had strange feelings here when I was little.
Things start to get weird when he enters the main area.
I'm gonna try my best not to get the windows as much as possible just to keep from anybody pulling up, because that alone is possibly anybody on my camera. That's my camera's spazzing.
His camera is glitching out in a very rhythmic pattern, and it doesn't look like he's messing with the zoom at all. Eventually, he gets it straightened out just in time for this strange sighting to be caught on camera. There's no way to tell if this is one of the ghost hunters or an actual phantom sighting, but since the camera goes out of focus in a really weird way, I think it could possibly be paranormal. This intruder can walk through walls. Posted to the r/ghost video subreddit. A scary figure was captured on Redditor ALOOP's friend's surveillance feed at around 1 in the morning. The video shows a dark and empty yard. At first, nothing appears unusual, but watch the back doorway. About 30 seconds in, a pale figure can be seen walking from left to right. You can see it outlined in the dark doorway, but if you look closely, it actually shows up seconds before, appearing semi-transparent as it walks past the exterior wall and turns into the doorway, disappearing inside the house. While some in the comments think a genuine spirit has been captured, others suggest it's a combination of a prowler and a distortion from the cheap night vision camera. Honestly though, either is terrifying. A popular YouTuber named Mikey021 has reason to believe his house in Brazil is really haunted. He says it's not uncommon for objects to go moving on their own. Tell me if you think this home experiment is real or not. This video might be a spirit, or he could be blowing plastic cups off his counter with a hair dryer. It looks paranormal until you realize it could simply be wind. If some heavier objects were caught on camera from a different angle, showing both sides of the counter, then I would be more readily convinced, but as it stands, I'm just not sure if his house is haunted. YouTuber Dennis of Dark Life came across this terrifying find in the forest, and my guess is that it did not want to be found. After hearing a sound, he turns down his light so as not to scare the creature off.
Чтобы видеть, куда идти, потому что здесь полная тьма. Все, я пошел.
But in the darkness lies an evil that you must see to believe. What was that horrifying thing? Here it is again, slower this time. I have no idea what that is, but it looks like it's feasting on something, and its glowing eyes and terrifying screech are something that will stay with me when I turn out the lights. A YouTuber named JulieG797 was watching live BBC News coverage of a workers' strike in Hong Kong when he catches what seems to be undeniable evidence of a UFO.
There you go. Look at that. Descending on the top of that building.
The mysterious green light hangs around the top of a building for only moments before shooting straight up into the sky. This footage was taken directly from the television screen and seems very hard, if not impossible, to fake. Right now, people are mostly debating if the light is too big to be a quadcopter drone. I guess it could be a drone, but if not, I think this very well may be a legitimate alien UFO sighting. This footage was taken in 2011. A man is wandering the woods in Pennsylvania when his flashlight chances upon one of the most popular humanoids of all time. The Sasquatch is devoid of pigment and doesn't put up much of a fight, instead taking off as soon as the flashlight beam hits its face. Notice not only how fast it runs, but also how silently it moves. Somehow it was able to watch the cameraman from less than 10 feet away and get away with hardly any noise. If you hear something at 3 a.m., pretend like you didn't. Otherwise, this could be the end result.
I hear something. Hold on.
It looks like an animal outside at first, but it clearly isn't. I think it might be a skinwalker feasting on this person's pets. Is that what skinwalkers do? Better hold your pet close tonight. Many human disappearances can be explained, but not this one. Published to TikTok by Horror Talk, this is one of the strangest things ever caught on CCTV. The scary video shows two young boys walking a dirt path. Nothing is around them and they appear to be in a rural area, not a city. As they're walking, all of a sudden the kid to the right is zapped into oblivion. His friend looks over for a moment and finds his friend has vanished. He then runs off in fear for his own life. TikToker Void Z notes in the comments that there is an X on the ground and the boy stepped right in the middle of it. Could it have been a teleportation route of some kind? If so, where did this poor boy end up? It appears something quite nefarious is happening here. This Polish reporter who steps away from some screens and almost takes himself out. He's probably a few feet off the ground, which is a lot higher up than it sounds when you're free falling backwards. Fortunately, he recovers and keeps going with the story like a pro. Another dog with something to prove. Posted to YouTube by It's Just Mars in March of 2012. The uploader writes that her dog does this most nights. The clip shows the dog on high alert for 5 minutes, growling, barking, and whining. At the end of the video, the uploader says that the closet door just opened on its own. The dog appears very upset by this and is pacing around the bed. I really think that the dog was right about everything. There's something unseen in this house. The Queensland Police Service in Australia released this seriously scary video on their Facebook page. Wrapped firmly around this poor person's leg is the last thing anyone wants, a large snake. They seem to be employing some kind of tickling strategy that I doubt is going to make it relax. Wiggling my fingers as fast as possible around a snake seems like a terrible move, but I'm also no snake expert. I am absolutely amazed at how calm the snake remains as the officer puts her hands close to its head and unwraps it from this leg. I was assuming it was domesticated until the officer was later told it was wild. Someone tell me what kind of snake this was and why it didn't seem to care about being handled for the first time. Maybe it was simply looking for a warm spot to coil up for the night, or maybe it was someone else's escaped pet on the loose. The world is filled with lost radio signals from long ago. One of these many mystery stations was this broadcast from East Germany that started in the 1970s. We still don't know what it was, only that it sounded like it could drive a person to madness if they listened for long enough. Every so often, the overwhelming wall of noise would give way to a group of men singing in twisted voices. Maybe it's just me, but this almost sounds like some kind of ancient ritual or chant. The broadcast abruptly stopped in 1990 after about 20 years. Give me your best guess as to what this broadcast was used for, because I haven't the slightest clue. A woman by the name of Cecilia Carasso in Chile strode past the reception desk at a law office in 2015 when she was attacked by something invisible. As you watch the CCTV video, Cecilia is strolling with a young woman towards the reception desk when she reportedly felt something push her with such force that it caused her to fall backwards hard. You can see Cecilia chatting with the woman and gesturing at something when suddenly, out of nowhere, she falls flat on her back. She doesn't just slip, she absolutely appears as though she was pushed. I wasn't aware of anyone in front of me as I passed the reception desk talking to a girl, and as I looked up towards the receptionist, I suddenly felt 2 pairs of hands shove me over, Cecilia said. She later added, I hit the floor, and when I looked up, I couldn't see anybody, and I thought they must have run off. When Cecilia asked the receptionist who had pushed her, she was told that nobody had. Cecilia didn't believe the receptionist until she was shown footage of the incident. After seeing it, she was sure that she had been the victim of a ghost attack since there was absolutely nobody around her. Cecilia's doctors reported that her injuries were consistent with a fall, but that she'd also received a large blow to the head, which may have caused confusion about what she felt and about her injuries, but that doesn't explain what happened in this creepy CCTV footage.
What is up? We are back, and right now we just hit a random abandoned, haunted, like really haunted house apparently. New Hope, PA is well known for a lot of abandoned, maybe haunted paranormal sites. All right guys, so like I said before, we are exploring a really haunted house in a really haunted town. Apparently, I don't know the exact story on it, but Tim, what was it? People left because of this house for being so like haunted or like paranormal, stuff like that.
Kyle McGran goes exploring upstairs, and while filming random rooms, a person briefly appears in the mirror. It could have been one of his friends, but this person is covered in darkness despite standing in an area that's well lit. At the other end of the house is a small boarded up attic that fills them with dread upon entering.
Bro, this room is creepy. Literally left a lot of stuff, shoes. Yo, the movie is called Without a Trace.
I know it was a 90s movie, but finding a videotape called Without a Trace in the middle of an attic of an abandoned house where the family mysteriously disappeared is not a good sign. Nor is anything that's stained red.
Yo, it's red in there.
Oh my god.
Some sort of scary voice is caught on tape, one belonging to a ghost or a demon that none of them seemed to hear at the time. They go downstairs into an old creepy basement that makes them feel so overwhelmed with fear that they only make it one step further before they turn around. Something tells me this is where the family still is. It seemed that whatever haunted this family has only grown stronger over time and drives Kyle's group away in less than 10 minutes. A child is left alone for just a moment, but still long enough for her to have a possible conversation with a ghost, look across from her at the wrapped silverware in front of the glass, and watch what it does as she speaks.
Let's go dinner.
The silverware moves all by itself shortly after she reminds an invisible person that this is not their dinner. She could be talking to an imaginary friend, but that doesn't explain how the object moved without being touched. The ghost appears to leave her alone after this brief interaction, and she happily resumes eating as if nothing happened. Exactly what it was planning to do to their food could be anyone's guess. Paranormal and other strange oddities aren't the only things to be courageous about. Normal everyday occurrences can often result in sheer fear. This video clip reveals one of these horrifying incidents, uploaded to YouTube in November of 2018. The home security footage shows a fire erupting in the home's kitchen, unbeknownst to the people inside the home, who you can hear in the background in another room of the house. It appears as though the homeowners left something cooking on the stove. At first, you just see it rising onto the kitchen counter, then that something erupts into flames. The blaze continues to grow as the fire heats up. You can hear a baby crying in the other room, as the family remains unaware to the fact that their kitchen is on fire. Finally, when a high-pitched sound is heard, the homeowners rush into the room. As the flames grow higher, the woman rushes into the room beyond, perhaps to look for an extinguisher. She then opens what appears to be the oven, but the blaze just rises more, and the fire alarm finally starts sounding off. The man then rushes into the room with a bucket of water, a toddler fast on his heels, but when he throws the water over the flames, they jump, causing the man to stumble backwards. As many in the comments of this video note, it appears to be a grease fire, which you should never throw water on. Others suggest they should have grabbed the child and evacuated before making any attempt to put the fire out. Comments also suggest purchasing a new fire alarm and extinguisher, as it took an awfully long time for the alarm to alert them to the danger rising in their home. It does appear as though the flames went out, as the man scoops up his kid and the homeowners leave. Hopefully they got out of there and were able to call the fire department before this fire consumed their entire house. Beam Me Up Scotty, published to YouTube in June of 2019. This CCTV footage reveals a possible spirit captured on video in Port Moresby that same year. The footage shows an intersection that looks to be on the outskirts of the city, probably from restaurants or shops that are still open at night. Street lamps illuminate the roadway, blinking on and off as a truck turns at the crossroads. Then something strange and out of place appears. On one corner of a median, a ghostly glowing mist manifests before rising upwards and out of sight. On closer inspection, the small figure appears humanoid, glowing at its core. But what is it, and where did it go? A home security camera caught this scary sight in Corvina. Posted by Ruby Gonzalez in December of 2018, Ruby writes, 2 individuals tried to enter a home. One knocked on the door and called out the resident's first name several times. The family was home at the time. You can see one of the men approach with his hood up and a kerchief covering his mouth, wearing a backpack. He knocks on the door, waiting with his head down, likely aware of where the security camera is located. A second dude also approaches, dressed in the same fashion. He's carrying a crowbar. They knock a second and third time, alerting a small dog inside. When a car passes, they both turn to look down the street and ensure there are no witnesses. He knocks several more times, saying, "Come on, bro." But the second dude eventually taps him on the arm, indicating it's time to give up and leave, which thankfully they do. Whatever they came for, they left empty-handed. YouTube channel The Paranormal Road Trippers were sent on a mission by followers to check out one of Canada's most haunted roads.
With our driving experiment of up and down the road, we did not see any ghost dogs, nor did we see a ghost woman. We've sped the video up as we tried the experiment a total of 4 times.
Though the YouTubers did not encounter either the lost lady or the ghost dog, they completed a second experiment.
Is based on a story we've been told that if you leave the keys of the vehicle on the hood with your car turned off, that someone, specifically a girl, will come and take the keys off the hood of the truck. So we're gonna try that out.
And something unusual happened.
Oh my
What happened?
My door just opened.
So while we were
My door just opened.
Has the ghost woman had enough of their experiments? Well, I'm not sure if a door falling open is enough to prove this place is haunted. I'm getting some super creepy vibes from this place. I'd keep off Keeping Road if I were you. If you think you see someone that others don't, you may be right. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Christina7658, the Redditor explains that a friend that works at a Subway in South Texas recorded this footage from a security monitor after a coworker kept seeing a cowboy who apparently wasn't really there. The bad quality of the footage is due to the fact that this happened more than 10 years ago. This is what the pair found when they reviewed it. A shadow figure is seen rising from the ground near the entryway. The mist-like figure appears to hover for a moment before making its exit through the window. This has most in the comments freaked out, with Hyperactive Audie stating, "You can see his hat. I won't sleep tonight." Other Redditors like JCKCS Mama debunk the all too common insect on the lens theory by stating that the anomaly doesn't appear from the edges of the camera frame, as one might expect a crawling insect to. Instead, it seems to come directly from the ground. Christina also states that the anomaly appears to take on the window tint as it exits the building. She also notes that the worker who kept seeing the cowboy had seen it throughout her entire shift. There used to be another video of her washing dishes, and a black blob like the one in the video is next to her. Although she couldn't find the other video, the combination of events has many leaning towards the paranormal. Others suggest that corruption of the videotape or the camera's hardwire issues could be a more practical explanation. But is that what you're seeing here? This New Orleans restaurant called Tableau's is thought to be haunted by a ghost who will punish you for what it perceives as any bad beverage selections. Here, a waiter is preparing the room for a private party and has finished stocking the refreshments when, coincidentally, the bottles all fly off the shelf and land in the exact area he had just finished sweeping. 3 separate comments in this video further verify that this restaurant is quite haunted. One person said the window in this very same room unlatched itself, another said the fire alarm went off on its own, and a third person said they are never going there again because the spirit was staring at them. These comments, combined with this video evidence, is enough to build a strong case for the paranormal in my opinion, but let me know what you think. Friends know of a haunted abandoned place in Egypt that needs exploring. Little do they know how wrong their paranormal investigation will have gone by the end of that night. Fresh writing on the wall that gives them pause. It might be a warning of sorts or maybe a puzzle. They spend quite some time trying to figure it out and never manage to. What does it say? That's when they think they hear something upstairs, something that can mimic their movements. They go upstairs to confront it and hear a noise at the bottom of the steps where they just were. As they turn around, there's a wall full of handprints marking where people were trying to get away from something. At the bottom are 2 floating white eyes. They are checking out more red handprints when their paranormal investigation somehow gets even creepier. A Jin's figure fills the doorway on the top floor. They run down the steps fast, and seconds later, the slow-moving figure somehow passes by them again. Well, they are looking up where it was last spotted. With a flip of his scarf, the bravest of all sets forth to the exit and is almost touched. Here is a still image of the Jin's face taken at 9 minutes and 46 seconds. I think it might be a mask, but what if it's really a weird misshapen face? They say this is real. Should we believe them? Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.